Hi, I'm Andrew K. Wallace. Picture a corporate headquarters in 2026. It's not empty. The lights are on. The coffee machines still run. But one floor has gone quiet. Not because of layoffs announced on an all-hands call. Because the workflow simply changed. Dashboards now auto-generate reports that used to take a team of analysts a week. Legal drafts are reviewed by humans only at the margins. Code repositories update overnight without a sprint meeting. Somewhere in finance, payroll shrinks, not with a crash, but with a recalculation. This is the job market now, not collapsing, re-optimizing. The public conversation about artificial intelligence still focuses on extremes, either utopian productivity or mass unemployment. Both miss the center of gravity. The real impact of AI isn't happening at the edges of the labor market. It's happening in the middle, quietly. Systematically. For decades, the middle class was built on specialization. Learn a complex skill, embed yourself in a process, become expensive to replace. That logic held when complexity required humans to manage it. It breaks when complexity becomes machine-readable. Here's the incentive filter. Firms don't deploy AI to be innovative. They deploy it to reduce cost, variance, and dependency. Middle management, junior lawyers, financial analysts, software engineers. These roles sit at the intersection of cost and predictability. They follow rules, they interpret patterns, they coordinate information. That's exactly where AI excels. This isn't about replacing judgment at the top or labor at the bottom. It's about removing the connective tissue in between. Think of a mid-level manager whose job is to synthesize reports, align teams, and escalate issues. AI doesn't need a title to do that. It needs data access. Once it has that, coordination becomes a background process. No meetings required. Or consider a junior associate at a law firm. Research, drafting, precedent comparison. All high-skill tasks, all pattern-based. Once an AI can do them instantly, the firm doesn't fire the associate. It simply stops hiring the next one. That's the evaporation, not layoffs, absence. A common assumption still circulates, that AI will mostly automate manual labor first, that white-collar work is safer because it's cognitive. That assumption is outdated. Cognitive work is easier to digitize than physical work. Atoms resist automation. Information doesn't. Warehouses still need people. Hospitals still need nurses. But the spreadsheet-heavy, document-driven professions were always more fragile than they appeared. Here's a moment you may recognize. A bank announces strong earnings yet quietly reduces headcount, not because demand fell, because throughput increased. The same volume of work done by fewer people. Investors applaud. Costs fell. Margins improved. That applause is a signal. The pivot point arrives when AI moves from augmentation to substitution. Early on, AI helped professionals work faster. Now it replaces entire layers. Once accuracy crosses a threshold, oversight compresses. One senior person reviews what 10 juniors used to produce. The math doesn't favor the juniors. This isn't a conspiracy, it's a balance sheet adjustment. And it's happening across sectors at the same time: consulting, accounting, marketing, engineering, finance, even parts of medicine. Each firm thinks it's making a rational, isolated decision. Collectively, they're hollowing out the middle. Ordinary life intersects with this subtly. A promotion that never opens. A role redefined to include AI oversight, a hiring freeze justified as efficiency. You don't feel unemployed, you feel stalled. That stall is structural. The education system hasn't caught up. Degrees still train people for roles that assume human exclusivity over analysis, drafting, and synthesis. But those exclusivities are gone. Not gradually, all at once. This reframes another deeply held belief. That careers are linear investments. Study hard, climb steadily, retire comfortably. That model assumed the job itself would persist. AI breaks that assumption. The career you studied for may still exist in name but not in number. Titles remain, headcount doesn't. Watch where smart money is positioning, not in labor-heavy firms, in platforms, in owners of models, data, and infrastructure. Value is migrating away from labor input and toward system ownership. Those who control the tools extract the rents. Those who operate within them compete on speed and cost. That's not new. What's new is the speed. In previous technological shifts, Displacement unfolded over generations. This one compresses into years, sometimes months. Firms don't need to wait for regulations or cultural acceptance. They deploy internally, quietly, and let outcomes justify the change. From a risk perspective, it's rational. Labor is variable, emotional, and expensive. AI is scalable, consistent, and improving. Once adoption begins, opting out becomes a competitive disadvantage. So companies don't ask whether to use AI. They ask where they can't afford not to. The social implications are significant, but they lag the operational reality. Fewer middle-income jobs means less predictable consumption, less housing demand at certain price points, more pressure on credit, more scrutiny of benefits systems. This is how macroeconomic shifts actually propagate, through payrolls, not press releases. There's another layer most people miss. Middle-class jobs didn't just provide income, they provided identity, status, predictability. Remove them, and you don't just change spending patterns, you change behavior, risk tolerance, political expectations. But again, the system doesn't optimize for identity. It optimizes for efficiency. Governments will respond eventually. Reskilling programs, safety nets, new narratives. But these responses lag incentives. They always do. By the time policy catches up, the labor market has already restructured. And here's the cold reality. Not everyone can move up the value chain. Some roles at the top expand. Many at the bottom persist. The middle thins. This isn't the end of work. It's the end of work as a stable escalator. For individuals, the impact shows up as compressed optionality, fewer fallback roles, less tolerance for mediocrity. Performance expectations rise while security falls. You're either leveraged by systems or exposed to them. This is why you see anxiety without obvious crisis. People sense the shift before they can articulate it. A quiet fear that the ladder has fewer rungs than it used to. Power moves quietly here too. Firms don't announce that your role is obsolete. They simply redesign workflows until it is. By the time the realization hits, the system no longer needs you to function the way it did before. And the most unsettling part is this. AI doesn't need to be perfect to replace you. It only needs to be good enough and cheaper. That's a low bar in many white-collar domains. The future won't feel like mass unemployment. It will feel like mass irrelevance for certain skill sets. A narrowing of paths. A labor market that rewards those who anticipate the shift and punishes those who assume continuity. The career you studied for didn't disappear because it failed. It disappeared because the system found a more efficient way to achieve the same outcome. And once efficiency becomes the primary metric, sentiment doesn't matter. The process continues. For those unprepared, the realization arrives slowly. When experience no longer guarantees leverage, when credentials no longer secure demand, when effort doesn't translate into opportunity the way it once did. That's not a warning, it's an observation. Power doesn't announce its transitions. It embeds them in software, workflows, and incentives. And by the time most people recognize the change, the market has already moved on, leaving behind roles that still look important, but no longer shape outcomes.